Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwyneth Johnson.
Is this your newscaster voice? Good
Yeah,
morning.
you don't know? Sometimes I just choose to do my newscaster
We
voice.
might need to make you read some WINN FM news.
Watch it, right?
Hello. No, you know.
The thing with journalists when they read, right, is they have a very predictable tone.
Cadence, a very predictable
It's up and
cadence.
down.
Yeah, they up and down. So when you talk, you have to.
Good morning, good morning,
pause.
good morning to WINN FM with another episode. And I see I can't even remember the words. I was trying so hard to do it.
It's like Spanish broadcasters all sound like the count from Sesame Street. Escucha bien. Everybody who talks on the show, they sound a one, the two,
And welcome
three.
back to another episode
My
of
favorite, my number is
Island Tea.
76. Yeah.
No, that's a fact.
They all sound like count from
It's
Sesame
true.
Street.
From Sesame Street.
Wow.
Just listen, and somebody could explain to me why half the stations on cable in Spanish.
Wait a minute, because have the
No, I don't mind Telemundo. I don't mind Spanish stations. But you can give me the English
But you're watching
stations
something
in
and
Spanish.
then when you go on ad break, you come back and
then
you
sometimes
add
they just
full of Spanish.
commercials. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, that's weird. Anyway, we
We're
went on a
watching-
little tyrant there because
watching-
it's Thursday, so we are allowed.
Yeah, that was my little gear I had to go in there. But yeah.
How was your game today?
That's my gear like. That's who paying for them?
Yeah, then who commercials go? And who pay for them?
No, Jade, what's going on? They literally showing us the Spanish version of the stations.
I know, 'cause
Just
they're trying to get the English.
Just give me
Wait,
TNT.
That don't even.
I want TNT.
Oh my god, TNT was a station boy.
I just give me. They have.
Yo.
They have TNT still, eh? It just ain't TNT.
What is,
It's TNT for. It's TNT for Spanish audience.
No.
I don't know if it's the one being
TNT was
broadcast in
amazing.
somewhere in Argentina or something. Like,
That's wild.
Yeah, we get in Latin America channels,
that's what's going on.
They sell the TNT.
but
And they want digital TV come.
you know what the issue is? They can
need
say
this.
be grateful you even have channels to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Not them, but people.
Oh,
Like,
well, are you gonna say?
You know, if you fuss about it, you're
I
gonna
can say
you-
that's
you're
why-
gonna get the,
What are you going
Like,
to
you
tell
know,
me first?
don't worry,
No,
you have
no,
life.
No, I can say that is why a lot of people opt in to
Just to stream.
to uncut the tie and just going to
I'm a
streaming.
streamer.
You know what's so funny?
I don't watch TV. I'm a streamer.
That you know what's so funny, especially with like platforms like YouTube. YouTube was created to get away from the television commercials and all these things, right? YouTube capitalized on that first, and then turned into cable television. The only
Actually,
thing
YouTube was actually
you could
a
skip
dating website first,
A
and it
what?
didn't work.
a dating website.
YouTube was a dating website.
That's wild,
Everything start out with dating or sex trade. Everything.
Lord.
The only reason we could use e-commerce is because people are trying to buy porn. That's a real thing.
No, I believe you. Honestly, I believe you.
Like, there's only 3 things that spark innovation in the world,
Wow.
right? It's sex, right? Military dominance and accidents.
I mean, wait.
Accidents, like things that just happen by accident, and people like, oh, that's
dear.
it. It's either sex, military dominance and domination, or progression, and thing. We only have the internet because of the military. That's the only reason we have the internet.
That's wild.
No purpose, just vibes.
Well, the purpose is to easier facilitate killing people and so.
Right.
To easier facilitate war.
Surprise, surprise.
That's vibes. Yeah.
That's why the
surprised.
internet was a military construct.
Yeah, I remember the first email sent was for military purposes.
Yep.
And then,
And then now y'all just using the internet to do all kind of nonsensical things. Is it a
Just
good idea to
vibes,
give us
Jade.
the internet? You think giving us the internet was a good idea? Sorry?
I think giving
No.
us the internet was a good idea. I believe that people are stupid.
Yeah, to be quite honest.
I must agree.
Simply put.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I tell you, we're going to end the world, you know? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
We're on the
much.
verge anyway, because y'all just have things floating out in space. Nobody going back to take them down. Nobody just...
There's still nuclear weapons.
That is fact. Wait. So, a group of people have the power to just launch nuclear weapons and take out an entire country. Great.
Just in case, Jade,
Of what?
you need to take out a country. Apparently. And the funny thing is that country also could take out,
You-
vast majority of your country.
Do you think we have less serious wars now because of the fact that we are involved?
Mutually assured annihilation.
Oh, so now it's because I know you have it.
That was the whole concept of the Cold War.
That's the whole premise of it, Jade.
It was literally the Cold War because everybody watching like, but hey, I think somebody can.
I have the ability to nuke you. However,
Oh
I know
my
you
God.
have the ability to nuke me. So let's just both not nuke each other.
Mutually assured destruction.
That's good though. I'm proud of y'all.
No, but the problem
that
is,
y'all
You know,
weapons, but at least y'all
the
not.
retaliation aspect is what ended a lot of things. Knowing that a country can retaliate, you just don't make the move.
but that only works in wars between superpowers,
Yeah,
or
for
between
sure.
groups of equal
True.
capabilities. Like we
Right.
talk about a couple like last week or week before, like the Israel Gaza situation, Palestine situation. Like that don't work when you got like one group just way superior and dominant.
Aye.
And we have
Mhm.
more we have more active wars now than almost any
Yeah.
time. I think it's about 156 active wars, something like that. Right now?
I don't know. I try not to look at wars.
How many the US involved in?
How many the US involved in?
Their own.
476.
All? Right.
Including their own. That's funny. America is imploding.
Shambles.
Yeah, but
Listen, speaking of shambles, y'all realize, right? If you are currently living on the beautiful island of Nevis and you're looking over to St Kitts, you're probably trying to figure out what's happening, because St Kitts looking a little.
in terms of what?
Just things, just all kind of things just been happening this week. We look so distressed.
The man said the vaccine, man.
That's what has people raging, and it's literally vaccine wars.
But sure, let me tell you something, right? Go ahead. I like this list where you're going now.
There's literally vaccine wars, COVID wars, education wars, political wars. No people fighting outside. Like, where are we going? What are we doing?
We just need nukes. That's the
No,
problem.
we're gonna get locked down.
Everybody need pocket nukes.
Listen, they're going to lock us down. Because everybody need a timeout at this point.
Pocket nukes.
We need a time. You need to treat St. Kitts like toddlers. Put them on timeout.
I still saying pocket nukes.
No, you won't reach there yet. Measure the approach. This is what you always talk about. Measure the approach. How come you're just going straight to violence?
No, I'm going to pocket nukes to assure that we don't have violence.
So if everybody nobody going to want to set off theirs?
Yeah, I know you got your nuke.
Yeah.
St. Kitts?
I know you got your nuke. I got my nuke.
Azem.
But that's what we say. You're working for countries that we don't just say.
Countries.
So what the difference is?
Ain't gonna work here. Trust
We
me.
take
ain't
the
gonna work
macro. We take the macro and apply it to the micro.
here. We ain't gonna work here, Azem.
That's what they say in America. Everybody got a gun, so
economics.
everybody got a gun. So the only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Does that work?
Watch it, I just tell you what they say.
How many mass shootings? We had a mass.
Ain't like 400 already for the year, something like that. 400 like mass shootings.
Let's find out.
There's a lot of them.
We in May. We in May for the year.
Yeah, for the year is a whole ton of them, Jade.
400. in one
Many
country.
things before 100, but there's
In
a
one
lot of
country.
them.
No, I would believe you. You know why? Because just yesterday I saw one.
Yeah.
A whole fresh one.
1 hour ago, the New York Times posted that the carnage has continued into 2021 with at least 232 mass
There you
shootings
go.
as of May 26th.
You wasn't far off the mark.
Telling you. No, I know it was something ridiculous. Like,
I'm happy that we don't have those things here because
oh,
y'all raging. Y'all raging for real.
mm.
This week has been a lot. And it's only Thursday. And we had a holiday one.
That's what I'm telling you.
Here's some context for you. May 10th, NPR posted an article saying we are just 18 weeks into 2021 and they were at 194.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 weeks later, they had 232.
Mm-hmm.
So they added about 40 in that short
Wow.
space of time.
If COVID don't catch you by.
Yep. Probably. Boy.
Anyway,
Listen,
it's
we all need to
time
calm down.
to grind some gears.
What? This is a new one? I tell
Wow,
you.
I
What?
wasn't expecting that.
Not to me. Good job, Kevon.
That one might be a keeper. That one
Yeah,
might be a
you might
keeper.
have to.
Wow.
I forget what I was going to say now.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just take a snippet. Because I don't forget.
But yeah, guys. Wabbing on your wabbing. Well, apparently people been grinding gears all week. I don't know.
All week, everybody been all week. It's been a long week. A long tense week. You don't feel tense and all, just from all the tense energy.
Me?
No?
Oh, no bye.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just me.
No bye. There's a key mute. Yeah. Wait, why y'all laughing?
Why are you laughing?
Like, am I not one of the
Why you
most?
laughing?
Is the way is the way you're pronouncing calm for me, eh?
There's a key mute.
Okay, well that's not right.
No, you that's not what you were saying.
But no, so Jade, you're trying to say I'm not a calm person?
You know, generally,
yes.
I've only seen you chip out about 3 times in my life. 3 ain't a lot.
I don't even think I've ever chipped out 3 times. I remember one time in particular.
I can remember. Remember we did the campaign?
I chipped out the
Yeah,
campaign.
right.
Kevon talk.
Why?
Can't talk to Jade off here. What know she talking about?
So 2 plus
No.
2 equals 4 minus 1, that's
Oh,
3.
dear.
Quick maths.
Quick maths.
Listen, Azem.
I don't know. I still don't know
Azem is
what
very
talking about.
passionate. Azem is a passionate worker. It's not tripping up, you know, he was, but he's just passionate about his job.
Mm.
I think we was having some type of one of these days we're gonna talk about the campaign, you know, the behind this. Can we?
Behind the
You
scenes?
saying something?
No, there's no NDAs.
Okay, just making sure.
No NDA, just vibes.
Yeah. It was fun, but one day I think we were having some audio issues. Well, duh, because that's the only reason you would. And I think nobody was listening. So you just started, you know, to act up. And everybody was like, whoa.
For sure, man.
Yeah, man. I was like, oh, man, I think crazy voice.
Mm. So because I'm generally a calm youth.
Yeah. It's the kind of people though, so. You can't really. It's the kind of people when the exposure to play.
Yeah. But yeah, they said the dog with the big bite are the smallest bite, eh? But the adverse is true.
I want somebody to give us a gear to grind because I think
I was about
our
to say
gears
something, but it's
are
too
going to
soon.
be.
Hey, but let's be totally fair here. We actually ground the gear yesterday, and I'm happy to report today that there's some improvement. It's not perfect yet, but the people of St. Peter's have been reporting that water has been coming back
gosh.
slowly. Pressure is low as expected, you know.
Yes, yes.
But there's something in the pipe for most people I spoke to.
That is amazing.
And so finally,
We're
I
support
mean,
of the water department.
with quick work, only 2 weeks, we're able to fix the pump. Yeah. I'm good.
I think we just need to start giving ourselves stickers. Like, you know, when you're in school, your teacher just pull out the sticker sheet
We're gonna give
with the
businesses stickers.
green
That's
sticker,
what
the
you're trying to
gold
tell us?
sticker, the red sticker, and so, and the silver sticker. You start to give yourself stickers. Just take credit for everything.
Oh, bye. I don't know if I don't know if we can say we're taking credit, but just we're just saying certain things that we talk about, you know, on here.
They happen shortly after.
They just seem to. We don't know if it's a coincidence.
Winky dink.
Yeah, it could be just a big coincidence.
I don't know, but the
don't
truth
know.
is, if
just
that
happy it happening.
if that is the case, then I mean,
Basically,
it's good to know that there are people in positions of influence who listen to small people like us. Like, I think that a lot of times entities, they sometimes get a little kick in the seat of the pants, and they're forced to act. And sometimes I think there are entities who put out feelers and try to anticipate the best way forward based on whatever their goal and agenda is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that's what happened with the communication that went out yesterday with the port? The what was it? Well, the communication that went out about the port not allowing. We're talking about the one for Casper.
Yeah, no, but
you mean
when I say both, I mean if
it was a
that and the
feeler,
follow-up.
if it was a temperature check.
Yeah, if it was a temperature check. Yeah, I think so. It was really a mistake.
I don't want to think
But not a mistake. I do believe it was.
I don't think it was a mistake.
When I say mistake,
You see how it is for me? It's
put out by somebody with nefarious.
Because seeing how manipulative the public has become, because we've seen people create fake skeleton posters to say all kind of things and stuff. I don't put it past people, but I feel like maybe it was something.
Bro, this on Casper page, yeah.
Right. I think maybe it was going to be something tabled, and the reaction to it was just like, okay, let's just not.
Right, but do you think they tried to implement it and the backlash was so stiff that they took it down, or they really
So
just
they didn't take it down.
or they didn't do a temperature check?
It's literally still on their page, so I am confused because, you know, usually when
Made a
mistakes
statement
happen,
saying that.
You try to correct them?
yes, and social media, Facebook has a button that you can delete things,
Watch it, right? Things
and it hasn't been, so I don't
things turn up, you know.
Listen,
Watch it. I don't be on
But I was
Facebook.
like, me order nothing else.
I don't be on
Put it on
Facebook. Okay,
Facebook.
there's a couple things before I even go down on this rant here. What amazes me every time about these kind of things is the people whose voices are the loudest, but they ain't going up the port. They're
Yeah.
not going up the port.
I don't say I didn't even know what the port is.
But they ain't going up the port. That's the first thing. But outside of that, I was just like,
Man,
people was just on a level.
I'd say it's
People was on a
been a
level.
very hype week. Azem, it's been a very hype week. It
Very.
feels like everything has just been, you know, little things. Well, not little things that would be this small and now this big, and everybody's upset. And because we have social media now, businesses are able to see the feedback one time in real time. They don't have to wait to see if this is going to work or we doing this is a good idea. They literally get feedback one time.
Yeah, by
And the feedback was, whoa,
vicious.
boy.
Vicious.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like, I mean, I think I know where y'all stand because we were kind of discussing it even before the announcement came that it supposedly was leaked, mistakenly
But
put
it's still
out.
there.
Yeah. But there was the announcement. So before that, I think we were kind of all discussing the fact that
That was kind of...
if people are, yes, we understand that there's some people who opt not to fully comply with the protocols. But my point was that generally when people go into certain institutions or business places, they tend to fall in line. I do think there's a very small minority of people who go into a place and try to subvert
it's not
the
much.
protocols.
It's really not much, if we have to
Subvert
be
the
honest.
protocols. So if you have people that are coming to, let's say, the port, and they have to sanitize and they have to wear their masks, and there's some strict adherence to that, which could happen in a place like that simply because of the nature of the interactions there. Like, yeah, why
Yeah.
especially something as critical as import.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
That was, I don't know. And yeah. And then, for me too, it was like, you're telling, you kind of turning people off from following the non-pharmaceutical protocols. Because here you telling me, these things that you've said work and have been working are not good enough to enter your business.
That's the thing about it, all of a sudden, the things that we had been doing for all this time ain't good enough.
Yeah, I feel like that would make people be like, so then why are we doing this?
Yeah, like when you start mandating the vaccine now, it's kind of like, okay, so the stuff we were doing all the time
Just wasn't working.
wasn't good enough. I do believe that there's a new element now, the fact that we have cases that are in the
Community spread, right?
that are past the gates of the quarantine facilities. So that is definitely something that changes the dynamic. But I do believe when we have a situation where there are people among us who can't take the vaccine for legitimate reasons, to then start mandating the vaccine for certain things.
PCR tests. And PCR tests, I don't know. How much is for a PCR test?
Yeah, like $100 or something,
Dear Lord.
It's quite pricey, to be honest.
Come on, Google it. See if you could find the price for the ones in St Kitts. I need to know how much people have to pay to enter these businesses.
Could have somebody who had to travel recently.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I mean,
It's like $100.
rough. I think it's $100. I think it's $100. Yeah, but people, the gears were ground last night on that. So you think that it was damage control, the announcement from the Attorney General last night?
It could be and it couldn't be. It could really be that they didn't consult with the proper people and they just did it because this is how they felt, and it could be they were trying to fix a problem that they created for themselves because nobody asked.
Yeah, see $100. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, $100. That's
So you
get your ish together, and as one of the commenters are saying, we've been having several of these little situations. Remember the communication that went out about the proposed increases in certain taxes. That was a whole lot of other things.
Just be testing the water.
That's what I said. If that's what's going on, well, okay, cool.
You
but
have to test sometimes
if there's a matter that there's all these issues where people are just like jumping the gun, then something wrong procedurally across the government. Like something wrong.
I feel like if it was a temperature check, they could probably say something about it being a temperature check, saying, okay, seeing the public reaction, we're gonna scale back until we feel it's necessary to do so, or whatever.
Bro, that's why, and I can say the word here again, referendums. Referendums.
No, because you're making too much sense, which we don't do.
Referendums, if you really want to know what the temperature is.
Yeah, instead of just...
And not only that, it takes the partisanship out of a lot of these topics. That's the whole thing. Like I could have supported a certain government, still support them, but just have a difference in opinion on a particular issue, and I should be able to express that in some way. There's no way for me to express that in a way that leads to policy. You understand? There's no way. There's like, as they say, sometimes it feels like you elect your dictators.
I have a thought on that one. Well, no, I have a thought on something that you triggered. It was always going to make you
I'm a trigger guy.
Yeah. So
I tell you, pocket nukes here.
I feel like, right, in this country, because I pay attention to this country, I don't know if other countries have these things, but they probably do. But I feel like the job of the media is to share information and to make sure it is done in a way that is equal and doesn't
It's not partisan.
yeah,
That's what you're saying?
doesn't
Okay.
change the way you feel about a party one or the next because of their rating. We often talk, we always talk about how we wish that there was less tribalism in politics and we need to do better, and these are the issues we need to work on. We need to come together and do these things because it's for the betterment of the country. Yet there are sites that every time you read a story from them, no matter what the story is, it always feels like
It leads one way or the other.
yeah, and it's disturbing, to be quite honest. Like, how are you going to tell me I'm supposed to trust you as a media source, but every time I read a story from you, you start...
There's an obvious bias.
Yeah, you start with some type of pettiness or, some type of unnecessary comment. How am I
Right.
supposed to take your information serious? If I'm somebody on the outside of St Kitts who has an interest in St Kitts, a citizen, and I'm reading news, I read this and I'm going to be swayed one way or the next. I won't really see the issue. It would be firstly top. It's like, what is the best part of the Sunday? Like, what is the best part of a Sunday for you?
They sleep after the food.
No, I mean in the not Sunday.
It's a Sunday, so I tell you.
The Sunday, the ice cream.
Oh. What is that? Is it cherry?
The water that you drink after.
Banana? I don't know. Man, a big ice cream guy.
But when you eat in things that have that have layers, you usually start at the top. So if I'm reading a story and the story starts with some kind of petty,
Sensational headline. Yeah.
sometimes I don't even continue down to the best parts or the parts that you need the important information because you already turned me off or you already changed my mind. So I just went in with an opinion. Now I all on Facebook sounding retarded because of something I read and didn't. I feel like the job of the media is to do better, is to try to do better.
I think that I disagree with what you're saying a bit.
Okay.
I think let me make a suggestion. I think what you're talking about is the job of the news media and journalists. I do believe that there are a lot of people who parade as news outlets, but they're just propagandists, according to Amali. Right? They're propagandists and they have a specific goal. 'Cause for instance, you can see the media when, media is kind of wide.
Okay.
So there's a lot of there's
Should I-
entertainment.
you
Like I
should-
said,
I should have
journalism.
broken it down?
No, I just think what you're talking about is traditional journalism.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
sites that claim to be media sites that is supposed to be giving you information.
News are just
They give you all of these things.
Cached Room is a media site.
But they give you news.
Yeah, but they're also very sensational.
Yeah, but they give you news. I'm talking about people who give all of these. Ooh.
Yeah, don't even.
Yeah, like if you are claiming to be a media site and a site that people are supposed to be able to trust and come to for information, you give all type of information, you press releases and all these things. Yet every time we read something from you, it always has some type of biasness or some type of pettiness in it. Like,
Yeah,
What-
see,
why
my
am I
thing
listening
is
to?
when you start putting words like news, like in the title of your business website page, all them kind of things, then that should come with a certain level of responsibility.
exactly.
And I think one of the issues that we have here is that there is no real accountability. There's no real commission that checks them things. Like, we don't have a FCC here, So it's like, yeah, and again, I think part of the issue is that people themselves don't really put things in their proper place, right? So it's like there's people who I could literally right now go on YouTube, start a page, called St Kitts Daily News, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I could literally go on there and say anything I want.
Well,
and
actually,
could say anything I want.
You can't.
Yes.
There's some limitations.
No, but that's
Yeah.
from YouTube. But that's from YouTube. That's not from St Kitts.
Yeah, that's from YouTube.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so I could go up there and literally report anything, like whatever, say anything. There is no real, and you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that instead of people recognizing that perhaps I am more of I could be more of an entertainment entity. I could be more of a political mouthpiece. I could be more all these things. And people literally gravitate if it reinforces their biases, and that's the problem.
Easily.
So if it reinforces your biasness, then I like them there. I like them there.
Yeah, and you're
able to just
get the
continue to
audience.
spew, and there's no accountability,
They don't.
no responsibility.
They're saying and stop then.
Nonsense.
Then the thing is
Hang
too,
on,
when
stop.
you have a following, then it kind of becomes difficult to discredit you, because you have so many people that follow your train. So trying to dismantle the train becomes difficult.
And that just adds to the fact that we are always at each other, because these big platforms with these large followings now fanning the flames of what people are trying to put out.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and
it's so funny because it's no matter what they posted, it could have been posting about a puppy.
Yeah, you got to have some, yeah.
Like,
To the point where, and the thing about it, this is why it shows me that the people behind a lot of these pages and things, they really ain't even trained in the art of propaganda.
obviously not.
Like, they ain't even, because they're turning off people who even hold similar views to them.
Obviously not. Like, you're just saying anything at this point.
Like, okay, let's look on Facebook, right? There's everybody know there's several fake pages. Like, in other words, the name that is there isn't the name of the person who is actually behind the post,
Oh,
right?
of course not.
But a lot of them, people go there and it reinforces the biasness, but there's also a hint of entertainment, right? A hint of based on how the information is put over.
Yeah.
So there was one that gets big. Is Mabel?
Yeah, why?
Okay, there's one.
What happened to that page?
Maybe I'll come back around election time.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is, so there's one like Mabel. Like, a lot of people, it reinforced the biasness, but they also figured like it's a bit entertaining for that, and how the information was put across and etc. and that kind of thing, right? So so that would be akin to, in the bigger countries, a gossip site,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fine. The bigger problem I have is the places that claim to be news outlets.
You claim to be a credible source of news.
Like thieving people pictures, putting them up, like no photo credit, nothing, like
no spell checks, no nothing, just vibes. You just
Nothing, just taking things and putting it up.
you don't even
No
back check.
validation,
The way
no
you-
checking.
The way even your rating is so, like, you could feel the biasness. You could see the topping on top of it. Like, it's just not down to the news that people need to get.
And the thing that upsets me as well, especially because I now operate in this space, the difference between what we do here and those types of outlets, we are not journalists. Like,
Nope.
nobody listening is thinking we're journalists.
Hopefully
Right?
not.
We come here and we share our opinions. But you see what happened? We use our names, we use our faces, we use our voices, we share our opinions, and so we have resolved to deal with whatever comes with that. Right? So we make ourselves vulnerable in this space. A lot of these people
The hide behind pages.
punks. Real talk. Like, real talk. And the funny thing is, they do that.
As if it is.
They publish all these articles.
God.
They publish all these articles. No name. Who is the writer? Nobody know. Nobody know.
And that's a fact, because, not to cut you off, but even when you, for example, if you go on WINN FM's page and you look at the news articles, you can see who wrote them.
Right.
You see who wrote it.
Right. These people are doing Facebook posts Because like
no credits, no
nothing.
evidence, no links, no nothing. Just,
You hear what I tell you?
Words.
And what they do too is a lot of
Punks.
copy paste. You know, some conversation they had, they just copy paste Facebook.
Watch here.
We gotta do better, man.
Every time there's an issue, it's politicized, and these so-called like I gotta call them propaganda pages. They go wild. You get.
Because this is when they get the most traction. Sadly.
So I just be like, and the reason why I don't respect them is not only because they just basically lack any type of objectivity, and all they do is display their biases. I don't like that. Ain't even the main issue for me. The main issue for me is you got to hide behind a fake name, and you got to hide behind some Facebook page, and you try to come off as being either an expert in some cases on the topics that you're discussing, or you try to come off as a credible news outlet when you're neither, and you're hiding behind these things. Like if you are expert, if you're credible, then you should be able to then defend the positions that you take. Don't try to come and hide behind nothing. Everybody know my name is Kevon Hanley. You understand? Everybody know me who talking right now is Kevon Hanley. So if so if you got a problem with anything I said today,
Kevon,
you know you could find Kevon Hanley.
You see what I say, Kevon? Azem sets you up regularly.
Please to leave me.
Azem went on a whole lot and then say Kevon Hanley no wow. Azem hell hot. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, but
yeah, like, and you know what? I can't even understand around election time, because for some sad reason that is our culture. However, these people that continue, like they don't take breaks, you know. They just continue every day waking up with the same agenda, the same type of post, the same type of information, and like.
Where is the paracetamol for the election fever in St Kitts?
Like
nobody.
600.
Somebody's asking how many news media sources we have in St Kitts and Nevis. I actually have no idea.
There's a lot of them. Once you start counting the radio stations as well. Let me ask you all a question. Have you all, like, ZIZ is the national broadcast company, right? It's been like one of the things, like, and I don't think anybody could argue that it has been used as the government's mouthpiece.
Yeah, because
for whichever government involved. We all think y'all seen a change in that, or is still
no? Where would we? If you control the radio station, where would you not control the narrative?
I think we've seen that, and even when we were speaking to Charles Wilkin, last week, he said the same thing. ZIZ has sort of always been the government's mouthpiece.
So
yeah.
That's why we need independent stations, credible, unbiased.
And
you see, that's not a bad thing, but it also could go.
Everything's about balance.
Great direction.
But you know what?
Right.
You know what the issue I find with having spaces like WINN FM is a lot of news sources, air quotes, they are allowed to put out whatever they feel like. Because they have this thing to fall back on. But men a journalist, men a news source. So if they're incorrect, or if they put out things that they just shouldn't, they have that to fall back on. WINN FM has to fact check and back check and make sure anything they put out, or any radio any news source. So ZIZ, WINN FM.
Look, there's a what you mean, independent news thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the Observer, you have SK Newsline.
They are at a disadvantage because they have to actually fact check, whereas people who just have phones and people sending them information,
just post.
They just
click. Nonsense.
And what's the sad part too is a lot of the time when they post something that is not accurate or false information, they don't come back and say, they don't give an update and say, we posted something earlier today, the information has since been updated, and they don't amend nothing or address any. They just leave it and just move on to the next.
That comment, you can't really, well, you can't. I don't think you could really say that when you have people on here every day who literally lean one way or the other. That we don't. Well, at least for me, I think that.
What are you talking
about? This one.
Oh, well, yeah, the people listening wouldn't know what you're talking about. Like that, we have a comment here saying WINN FM has an anti-Labour Party bias historically, and I know that's been a narrative. Like that's been a narrative forever. Like that ain't nothing new. I think especially during in the time when WINN FM would have been started, we would have been a time when I mean I remember years ago when a program like say Voices was a place where people with anti-government sentiments had a place to think.
Call in to speak.
Yeah, but I don't. The reason I have an issue with that is it that there has been. This is the problem too, you know. Hold on. No. Yeah. So it's the station itself. The station itself gets branded based on what is broadcast on the station, not necessarily just what is curated by the owners of the station. So for instance, there's a difference between allowing people to call in and give their talk and
even on the platform,
or not allowing people from a certain with certain views, a certain stance, certain parties to not have access. If there's a situation where you feel that persons have been denied access to the platform based on their political affiliations, then I could get that.
Then that's a bias.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like you know, one of the things too. For instance, there's another station here that gives access to its platform to Political Party Weekly, right? And there's a show like I think every Wednesday or something, right? Because of that, and whether or not you believe it or whatever, you have more information, but there are people who, because simply the party is able to go on Wednesday and talk, say, well, the party there, bias towards the party.
Why?
But my thing is it that other parties don't have access to the platform? I don't believe so.
That's it. Well, I can speak for here. That's not the case. You cannot judge the radio station itself by what people say. We are a radio station that allow for freedom of speech. So if the people who are speaking are saying one thing, you combat it. You can't just say that because you know it's one mouthpiece seems to be higher than one. It's a bias.
Not only that, bear in mind that these entities, people, callers, commenters, they all have a choice. You have a choice as to which platform you're going on.
Exactly.
The problem is when a platform denies equal access to the platform, then that's a problem. Not because people exercise that choice differently in different places. You could then go and blame the platform for that.
Yeah, like you can't say the platform is politically motivated because the people calling in talking about the government, the anti-government. Well, then call in. It's a radio. It's a free line. Everybody can. You cannot see who calls. So it's not a case that you could look down on the phone and see, okay, well, this person from this party is calling. Let's deny them. Or you cannot see. We don't just be in here like, well.
Yeah, but I don't work for WINN FM, and I don't think so. I ain't in a position where I feel like they need to defend anybody.
Same. Exactly.
But but my thing is this: like, if you are suggesting that there's a difference in access, then
somebody else.
I remember when look, listings to tense, right? There is still things that's in the lexicon that come from like radio and a certain time and everything, you know, like from the time somebody say, "Good morning, Tony, this is the big one speaking."
You already know.
There's a reference to WINN FM, there's a reference to a certain political tinge, there's a reference to Voices, the show. Like, so like these are things
that's
that
why I know about Voices actually. It wasn't because of the content, it was because of the callers. Because I was like in high school, I listened to voices.
Yeah, I got you. But we have a call on the line. Caller, good morning.
Change your mind.
Probably was a big one speaking.
Good morning to him, wherever he is.
Yeah. He's like, man, they catch me back.
Somebody said access and political orientation are not the same.
Yeah. So guys, we have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're on the line.
Good morning. Interesting conversation. May I ask the station that you refer to on Wednesday, or the program that you refer to on Wednesday, that has been essentially branded a political partisan program?
No, I'm saying that because there's a political party that has access to a particular station and does so. I think it's on Wednesdays. Like, people would then look at that and say, oh, the station this and the station that, even without any other information.
So you're saying that the party, what I'm getting at, I, for instance, have made appearances on a Wednesday program that is not associated with a political party. There are political views expressed, but the program itself is not associated with a political party. And so that's where nuances comes in. But
bear in mind that one can say that, but one must also be very aware of the optics and how things are perceived. Correct? So would you say that program, even though not associated with a political party, even though political issues are discussed, is viewed as being, very much partisan and associated with a particular party?
I would say that I would agree with that it is viewed that way because of views expressed and because some of the appearances on the show, not mine, but appearances on the show, definitely have political affiliations and connections. But my appearance on the show, I'm not being defensive. I mean, if I want to be philosophically aligned to a particular viewpoint, that's my right. That's anybody's right. Okay? But my appearance on the show, for instance, is to promote what I am particularly passionate about, which is good governance. Okay? And and if I show instances of bad governance that we have presently, right, I expect that I be called out in terms of, well, what you're saying is wrong, not being presented with arguments like, well, the other government used to do it too. Right? That is not an intellectual argument, not a logical one.
But Carlo, the point I was making is that sometimes, because the station allows access to their platform, the stations become branded as being affiliated with certain parties, right? And I think that's unfair. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. That was unfair. But you also have to remember the bottom line. See who pays the piper call the tune. And I think what you pointed out there about WINN FM's being branded, and it was more than being branded, I recall.
Well, we only mentioned that because we had a comment on the line on the thing, so we were responding to the comment. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I remember on listening to one of the shows, they were saying, one of the supporters was saying how you could come on re-radio station, how you could come on re-radio station and say those kinds of things, simply because it was not in line with his particular thinking that WINN FM was pro-unity.
Yeah, but you bear in mind that just like how there are people who, let's say, support Labour, right, who may believe that a particular station is a Unity or Labour station, there's people who Unity, I believe, well, this is we station too. Like, And a lot of times, the unfairness goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly. It goes both ways. I think as long as the station presents both sides, you see that, like how
grants access, grant access to different views, right?
Yeah, and not use the thing of money, right? Because I know, for instance, that it seems that the public radio station, that I said, seem to be using the excuse of, well, of course, anybody can have access to ZIZ as long as they're prepared to pay. I don't think if it's a public radio station, I doubt that's how NPR works, for instance, in the States. If it's a public radio station, I think opposition should be given equal time without having to pay that cost as a public service. Because, you see, unless you're one of those people who feel that views should be monolithic, everything must be the government line. You're thinking that, well, there should only be one perspective and no dissenting perspective. That's dictatorship. That is not a democracy. And so we would expect that all views would be promoted.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that traditionally, like I asked the question to my co-host earlier, do you believe that traditionally, the national radio station has been used, broadcast network has been used as the government mouthpiece, and that's irregardless of which government was in or who the government was at the time?
That's absolutely true. And it's also reached as far as the courts.
Right.
And the courts have has said that is wrong, but it still persists. Because you can use all kinds of loopholes to get through it, right? But like I was saying, right, as I think it's some American, I don't know if it was a president or thinker, said, as long as the press is free and men can read meaning listen and understand and analyze, then all will be well. I think that's the bottom line. I listened to one of your programs last week where I think it was Kissy Wilkin was on. And to take a particular issue, the issue of the motion of no confidence. And there's no question that should not have happened. It was an egregious act, okay? But it did not happen in a vacuum, right? You're listening to him, you'd think that it happened in a vacuum. It happened under the circumstances when the government then was trying to change the boundaries. And they were being blocked. The courts were being used to block these changes. Now, in my estimation, starting from first principles, if we are fighting an election on skewed boundaries, that is an affront to democracy. Because skewed boundaries mean that you don't have one man, one vote. That is what people died and fought for. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, the motion the delay of the motion should not have happened. But neither should have been the misuse and abuse of the courts, because both sides did it. The government and the opposition then did it. Because the government was saying, well, there's nothing that says that a motion should be brought within a particular date. Right? So they abuse the courts as well.
Yeah,
okay?
I think just like
to a story, and the news source should present all sides. But I agree with you that the mere fact that you have to have so many fake profiles and fake news sources, that should identify them as a propaganda outfit from the start. One of the things I pride myself in, for instance, is that I put my name on all my Facebook comments. Right? If you can't do that, then that's my issue. Like I said, they're hiding behind these monikers. But defend your views, defend your issues.
Bear in mind,
and don't get into the personalities part of it. Right?
Yeah.
Talk about the issues.
But bear in mind, the good thing is that when we had the interview, you spoke about, QC Wilkin would have given his views, and then you would have come in and been able to share your views on the topic as well. Right. So, I appreciate you.
No, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it would have been good.
Yeah, but I guess like Jade is saying, I think it's unfortunate that these things are allowed to go unchecked, because they have long-reaching repercussions, and it creates a distrust for journalism in general. Right? In general, it becomes like, because there's so many of it and it goes unchecked. Like, you can't be using things like Daily and News and Times in your headline, and you're suggesting that you're a credible journalistic source, right? When you really have no intention of doing that. You don't follow any journalistic guidelines. You don't hide your biases. You don't right. Fact check. You don't. I just watch it, right? It's annoying, and I don't even know people about them things, to be honest.
Trust me, all you have to do is anyway.
If just put gossip and thing in your title.
Yeah, that would fit your narrative. Yeah. Much better. It will help you out. Take that little cookie from Island Tea and run with it. So.
Yeah. But let's take a quick break.
Yeah, because I feel like we don't go in on these gears.
Jade just want to mash up the country. I'm the Jade, bye. Yeah, make her mash up the country.
Break.
We'll be right back with more Island Tea.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Here are your Horsford's Value Mart IGA Value Club Blue Tag specials for May 28th through June 2nd. IGA Peanut Butter Premium Crunchy, $7.99. Essential Everyday Lasagnas, $4.49. Essential Everyday Pasta Sauces, $6.99. General Mills Cereals, $15.99 each. IGA Salad Dressings, $5.99 each. Almond Breeze Milk, $12.99. And now our very low weekly value deals. Planters Dry Roasted Peanuts or lightly salted, $11.99. Fremont Wheat, large, $11.99. Almond Hammer Detergent, just $13.99. 20-ounce Gatorade, $2.99. Yoplait Yogurt, $3.39. IGA Honey Bears, $12.99 each. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Protect yourself from the novel coronavirus. Wash your hands thoroughly and frequently for at least 20 seconds each time. Avoid shaking hands and touching your face with unclean hands. If you have to cough or sneeze, do so into your flexed elbow or a paper towel and then dispose of it. Keep a distance of 3 feet away from anyone with the cold or flu-like symptoms. Boost your immune system with vitamins, drink plenty of water, and get adequate rest. Visit your doctor, the nearest hospital, or health center if you or a family member becomes ill. A message from the Ministry of Health and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA.
For in-depth conversation into social, political, and economic issues affecting the people of St Kitts and Nevis, tune into Voices every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We care about the voices of the people.
Your voices from the ghetto, crying, crying, crying. nothing more fulfilling than a hot cup of tea in the morning to get your day started right. Island tea, that is, with your faves, Kevon and Azem. Tune in to WINNMedia SKN Monday to Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. for a tall cup of steaming hot conversation on local, regional, and international news, entertainment, pop culture, and of course, up close and intimate interviews with inspiring people from all walks of life. Island Tea with your faves Kevon and Azem, right here on WINNMedia SKN.
And remember, you can't be everybody cup of tea because you is not a mug.
This is the official invitation to the Conscious Party.
Get conscious, get down to business every Wednesday with Conscious Business. Join the Conscious Musical Reasoning with Selector Highest, Strictly Positive and Conscious Music and Conscious Business on WINN FM 98.9, winnfm.com. Vibes include Business Education Corner, Business Quote of the Day, Agriculture Time, and Mama Love Track of the Day.
Mama, I don't ever want to see you cry.
Conscious Business is brought to you by Light New Steam Cleaning. You too can get exposure and awareness for your business when you call WINN FM's sales department to advertise here. Conscious Business is positive growth.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves. And it is time to continue terrorizing the airways like we do all the time.
But yeah, Kevin, actually we have a very special guest with us in studio. I'm hoping you're not suggesting that you're going to terrorize him. But
nope. I leave that's for Jade to do.
Okay.
Nah, I'm too nice for that. I don't terrorize anyone.
Yeah, man. But we have in studio with us Leon Natta. Leon, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we have a track record of having conversations with very interesting people who are doing things and in the community, and it's a real pleasure that you took the time out to come and sit with us today.
Right, and I'm so appreciative of the invitation. So let me start by saying good morning to you guys, and good morning to all the listeners out there and viewers, if we do have any viewers.
Yeah, man, they're watching you.
It's my pleasure to be on Island Tea this morning. I was expecting that, there would be coffee cups and those guys. So, I'm my next invite. I get that. Yeah.
No problem. You see, the thing is, right? I'll let Jade handle that, because we don't get this question all the time.
Right.
You know what I realize with people? They always come in here and say, how come nobody ever expect to bring nothing from us?
I didn't want to overstep my boundaries. Right. So, if I do get the next invite, trust me, it will be probably later.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
That sounds better.
The thing about it,
but you see, we took the same approach.
Yeah.
We didn't want to overstep either, so we didn't.
Oh, okay. I understood. I guess, based on the conversation previous, I guess this makes it a little more balanced now. Now you have Leon Natta Nelson, who is a part of the Labour team. So
right, exactly.
I was listening on my way, so interesting topic.
Yeah, but the thing about it, there might be some people. There might be some people who may not know exactly who you are and what you're into.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the viewers and the listeners, you could just tell us a bit about who you are.
Leon Natta Nelson, originally Leon Natta, but all my last names, as people do ask me, where do I get Nelson from? All my last name are my mother's names. I grew up in Molineux, born and raised in Molineux. Spent all my time there. The only time I left was to go to school. I grew up on, started on Bamboo Street. And Bamboo Street was where, once you reach Bamboo Street, you reach Molineux. That's where the buses turn around. And drop you off, and then they go back to town. Bamboo Street is where I've always been fortunate, except the last couple of years, where I moved to Thomas Street. I've always been fortunate to live where the basketball court and the playground, the Hector Gilbert Sporting Complex, it's either to the front of my yard or the back of my yard. So when the court was built, I think in around 88, 87, I was there as a young boy. The court was at the back of the house, so at afternoons I would go out and help in whichever way. I mean, those bigger guys would say go inside and so on. But I absorbed everything and so on. Witness the court being made, witness the playing field being leveled, and the events that was there ever since then. My grandmother, Ida Natta, she used to sell black pudding. So the court being our backyard. When there's events on the court, as you come of age, you then have to participate in selling in the bar and so on. So I will see all the political activities, and I also engage in all the sporting activities that went on there: basketball, football, volleyball, netball, cricket, every sport. And I managed to make one national team in my life, which is the junior basketball national team. Back in the day, and went on from Molineux Primary School, went on to Kent High School, then journeyed to college in Brooklyn. During all the time, while becoming a man, engaging in sports, I was the first to organize basketball competition in Molineux. I did that for 3 years. Then I also ran football league in Molineux. Then I ran the football league in Atlas. And I think, that set the standards for out-of-season football league. We call it the Bush Football League. Every time we had football, we had DJs. It was a real festive atmosphere, one of the best, I could say, around the island.
Yeah, but let's talk about that, because you have been, over the years, very much involved in sports.
Yeah.
Not just participating, but like you said,
I worked at the football office for some time as well, for about 8 years.
Right. And so, tell us a bit about where that passion came from. You mentioned that you grew up basically with the court and the sporting facility being your front and your backyard.
Yeah.
Growing up. But what role has sports played in your development? And also, what would have urged you to start facilitating some of these competitions that you were involved in?
Yeah, very good question. One thing sports did for me, I think, coming from Molineux Primary School, I was always competing in athletics, in sports and event. And the only person that used to beat me was my brother. Up until I reached Kent High School, then my brother stepped out of running, and then I continued, but there was one guy I just couldn't get over. So I'm always, drove the competitiveness in me.
Right.
When it came to leadership, when I joined the large Patriots Football Club, from early age, I think, they put some responsibilities on my shoulder. They brought me into the executive, and that's where the leadership came across. It was my turn now to take full responsibility of the team and the affairs of the team. And it led to me going into the community and, establishing the same leadership responsibilities. And that's one thing I could be very proud of, is that during my tenure, and I'm still the president of the Lad Football Club, during my tenure as the president, there's never been, although we haven't won the major competition, one thing I can boast about is that the talents and the individual that has come through under my leadership, none of them has been arrested, none of them has been charged with anything. They have all been, good, honest, hard-working guys that have tried to make better of themselves.
So you see the club as being something that has really helped to mold and shape the men of the community.
Yes, and it's even when I ran the basketball league in morning, crime wasn't so rampant at that time, because at the end of the day, during the week, for a specific amount of time, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, guys had things to do, and they were occupied in their mind during downtime. These things integrate societies. People from different communities would come to the villages, and that's where relationships are started as well. Right. So it's a very dynamic impact it makes on the community going forward.
Yeah, it's not lost to anyone that's paying attention the numerous positive effects that sports and sports involvement, whether you're on the court or the field, or you're involved in management in some way, plays on the people that are involved in it, and how that really helps to build societies and build communities. But you were then speaking about and just going into the fact that you went off to study in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And what was your discipline?
Accounting. And while I was there, I also played for the school as well.
Okay.
So we continued the journey into sports, even when I came back and so on. So, accounting was and still is my discipline. It's amazing that I had this conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, one of those investors who works at in the Frigate Bay area. I started speaking to him about construction. And, we ventured, and he just asked, so you into construction? I said, my background is accounting. But it's a trend that is setting nowadays. A lot of people who go off to study, you have lawyers who love DJ music. Mm-hmm. You have people who do nursing or criminal justice who does nail technicians. Mm-hmm. You have people who do accounting and they want to do mechanic. And so gone are the days where it's just about the academic. People want to get hands-on, and that's what I think the future is going to hold for us, where people are not going to go and settle for a single degree or a minor degree. They're going to go and get some qualification in some other skills that is also their passion. Because I think a lot of time people go to school just to satisfy the status quo or satisfy a childhood dream. But their passion is always in something else. For example, look at Jeffrey Hanley. He went, I can't remember what he studied in school, but he's also creative designer. Candice Mena might have done, he's an engineering in IT, but he's also a Calypsonian. Right. So there are different things and different trends that are being set by persons. As time goes by, people are going to find different interests in things, not just one primary interest, but multiple interests in different type of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's important as well, because especially now during the pandemic, where we're seeing so many people having to readjust and realign and get involved in things that they may not have been involved in prior to the pandemic. It really gives you an opportunity to have options moving forward, and I do believe that people who have passions should explore explore and express those passions. You're saying, Jade?
I'm just happy that he pointed out that school isn't the end all be all. Yes, you can go to school and if that's your passion, but you can also have other passions and not feel like if you don't have this academic degree or something that you failed or that you've not been progressing, because that's, I feel like, a big stigma. If you don't have a degree or something, a piece of paper to say that you've been to school, people just look at you like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or you don't have the experience, and that's not the case. So I'm happy that you lamented on some of that.
I think too, what's important to note is I don't believe that there's anything that we experience in life that doesn't help to shape us in some way, even if we may not be conscious of it. And so you spoke about, for instance, a lawyer who also loves to DJ.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that there are skills that he would have honed in one aspect that would then be transferable and usable in other aspects.
Right.
And so that type of thing should be encouraged, because it really When I was teaching, for instance, I would never have expected that some of the skills that I would have acquired there would then help me in my entertainment and music career. But I could see how those things, even though being on the radio and having to talk on a mic every day, right?
That's a teaching background kicking in.
Yeah, so it's things that I would have practiced and learned in that profession now coming out in these other places. So it's very, very interesting to see how how the different things that you've been involved in, whether it's sports, leadership, accounting, how that would have shaped the man who you are now.
Right. And just to add, I studied accounting. I can do masonry, I can do carpentry, I can do mechanic, can do plumbing, I could do some electrical, I can do data connections.
Hold on, this ain't a dating show,
But I'm just saying,
this ain't a dating show. I feel this is what I'm saying.
Like your wife, your future wife listening or something.
Well, I'm trying to say that, there should be really no excuse for you trying to find a way to harness your skill and make them into something that can work for you.
Right.
It's not just, you don't just sit in a corner and say, this program is there. No. Find a way to use your skill, because I think everybody do have a skill. Unless you just have a gift that you don't want to show, then that's not a talent. You go, you expose it, you try something,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you would have come back here after studying accounting, and when you came back, you worked in the Ministry of Sports?
Ministry of Finance, Customs and Excise Department.
Oh, Customs. And so, how was that experience? How is that experience? I mean, the truth is that a lot of times we look at people involved in customs as the bad people who charge us a lot of money, not recognizing that they are in truth and in fact also part of the national security apparatus and all of that. So how was that?
Well, the experience has been was wonderful. I'm not physically there now, I'm still under suspension and so on, but I got the first chance of being in the customs in 2009 when I journeyed home from college on summer break. I worked there for I think 2 months, 3 months. I fell in love with it, and when I finished school in 2010, I got the opportunity in 2011, shortly thereafter, to become an employee of the government working at the Customs and Excise Department. At that time, Mr. Bell was the comptroller, and we did undergo some changes to build a better relationship with the general public, changes in infrastructure, and I think for the most part we had done that. At one point, we had some sensitization movement going out to the different radio stations, acknowledging World Customs Today so that we can show the people what customs is more than just a tax collector.
Right.
So it's important to understand, though, that fundamentally, customs has a role, which is to, I guess by its mission statement, to collect revenue. But it also goes on to say with fairness and integrity. So this is how the country survives. This is the main source of how the country survives, by collecting taxes. We have no major natural resources here that we process and we export for revenue. So we have to tax everything that comes in, or almost everything that comes in order to generate revenue, to pay the roads, pay the teachers, pay the government employees, sustain the economy. That is the primary role of taxes. And the two main agencies for that is Inland Revenue and the Customs and Excise Department. And so people, even though they have to pay taxes, taxes are burdensome. Nobody likes to pay taxes. But it's a real critical part of our economy to generate revenue, and we have to do that by collecting taxes. What I'll say about the taxes is that based on the CARICOM, the taxes are generally the same across the CARICOM and the member states. Where you pay 25% duty on something, you may pay that in St Kitts, you may pay that in Antigua, Grenada, or St Lucia. So from that aspect, and then the critical part, or the next critical part, is the border control. We had incidents where people always ask when there's a crime, where do the guns come in? And it's been known that some of them has been infiltrated to our borders through our main ports.
Right.
And so the customs has a role to enforce and to ensure that our borders are kept safe, along with other agencies like the Coast Guard and so on. A fundamental responsibility to make sure and ensure that our borders are made safe, and that no contraband. Contraband is basically anything illegal. Doesn't come through the ports of entries and become a menace to society.
Yeah, I think that the role of the Customs and Excise Department sometimes gets overlooked, and like you said, you know, because people on the position where they have to feel it, you know, like they have to write that check or swipe that card or pull out them bills, and so sometimes there's that that tension between the public and the department.
And I think there's room for improvement, and that's one of the things that governments and regulators around the world have to look at. When we had the N1 scandal in the US, and when we had the scandal with the housing that led to the demise of many economies across the board, that was during my time of studying in school. And one thing we look at is regulations, and how long have these regulations been in place? How long have these treaties been in place? Where do we, as a government or as a people, look at these treaties, look at the way the world is trending, and say, is 25% still applicable to today? Should it be 20%?
Right.
Should it be 15%? You know, those are things that should be reviewed and continuously be changing according to where, you know, because back then, the importation would have probably been minimal.
Right.
You know, but because of things have changed so much, you could order something on eBay today and get it pretty much tomorrow.
Right.
You know, so there's more importation. So let's see where we can make some changes in. And one thing people have been complaining about though is the way of the VAT and the way it's constructed. It's
you don't listen to LNT.
It's tax and tax.
You don't listen to LNT, but I like that. Yeah.
So you know, and during my time, there have been discussions, and my affiliation with the Labour Party, and we've looked at that, and we demonstrated a plan to address that, because you know, at the end of the day, the taxpayers are the ones that feels the burden. And so we will want to ensure that every time you put something in place, there's a way or there's a time frame in which you review. It's only natural these days. That's part of management. You review where you are over a period of time, you project, and you make decisions based on that.
Right. Well, you mentioned just now that you have an affiliation with the Labour Party, and of course it's public knowledge that you would have contested in the last election. But what was it that spurred that move into the political arena? So far, you would have mentioned, you know, involvement in sports, community development, and your professional endeavors. But I can tell you something. Like for me, I don't see myself jumping in that bullring there.
Worth me.
So, you know, what was it that kind of sparked that move on your behalf?
Well, let's just say that you're already in the bullring. Voicing your opinion.
I played a role, yeah.
Right. But to go actually and say that you want to contest,
right,
that's a different agenda. But it's the same. It's being where I grew up and being close to the action. Every time the political parties had an event in Molineux, it was also in my backyard on the same hardcore. So Labour or PAM would have activities there, and you know, you have the first glimpse at it.
Up close and personal.
Right. And St. John Payne, who at the time, when he came in, he would come to Miss Williams' property, which is just 2 houses up from me. So I know the impact. I would know that he would make visits there. Roy Jones' office would have been just across the road. When Mr. Harris would have joined the campaign, actually my mom worked in his office. So I was always close to the political arena. And as you go up and you've been identified based on the relationships, based on the comments, based on what the public says, and for yourself, you might see yourself one day being at the podium. And so I think as much as the opportunity presents itself, the environment in itself was calling for me. So, and based on the relationships with people and so on, it was something that, I always said that if the opportunity provided itself, I would have taken that opportunity. And I did. And I have no regrets about it, because I think there were fruits to me engaging in politics at that level. You see the landmark case that happened in March of 2019, where the judge would have said that the regulations of the government does not prohibit or should not prohibit a civil servant, which is a citizen of this country, the right to engage in politics. And look what the fruits of that is. Any civil servant can now be given a chance to become a senator of the government while being employed in the government. Dr. Jaya Clark is now the senator of the St Kitts and Nevis Labour Party. That is a direct correlation of me engaging in politics. And it's not just for her, it's for any single civil servants that is out there.
But
so
because
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me was, I was very curious when that happened, because this is something that would have been instituted some time back, and we'd have had other candidates who would have chosen, for whatever reason, to resign from their civil service, and then go into campaigning an election.
Yeah, right. And there were two who did it with me. That was Kenny and Jeffrey.
Right. So there are. So my curious mind is asking, prior to you being put in a position where you would then have to defend your right to be able to contest, was that something that would have crossed your mind? And I would want to believe that it did, because like you said, there were other candidates who were, considering who made certain decisions based on what was best for them at the time. So prior to the case, what was your view on the whole situation, being able to contest, for a seat in the general elections while being a civil servant? One thing
led to the next. But one always have to do some research and do some, find an understanding. And I always had a question. Who is a candidate? I can be a candidate for the St Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, but based on the Constitution, I'm a candidate after nomination day. So even so, had I just taken that course, even without going to court, my view was that only after nomination day I become an official candidate that is challenging for a constituency. Right. So there was no reason for me to resign. When I did some research, I found that our first two prime ministers, the Right Honourable Dante Douglas and Mr. Simmons, Honourable Simmons, they were civil servants at the time when they were campaigning and running for elections. So I'm like, there's no regulation that is going to tell me as a citizen of this country that I cannot contest the elections. And if so, let the court tell me or tell whomever that Leon Natta can or cannot run for elections. And so we went down that path. Of course, it's known that the government, the office of the Prime Minister, had written to me and said that I was in violation of the Civil Service Code. And so I decided, with assistance of the Office of Sylvester Anthony and with assistance of Ms. Sukubab, that we are going to challenge this in court. Right. And so we did, and we were victorious. A landmark decision.
Because for me, I again, just looking at the whole landscape of that, I mean, I think that particular law would have come into effect or been tabled in, I think, 2014.
Yes.
In 2014 by the Labour Party, for which you were a candidate at the time.
Yes.
And so you stating that, you always had questions doing your research and whatever. Did that put you at a direct opposition to the philosophical views of the party for which you're running? Because, that's the question. Like, Labour were the one who put it in place. And here's a Labour candidate now who is saying, well, I mean, really agree with that. And like you said, that was even your view even prior to the case. Right. So did that put you at somewhat ahead with the philosophy of your own party?
No, it did not. And sometimes people have to agree to disagree. And so when I saw it, I wasn't part of the consultation then to know the understanding or the reasoning behind why one would not want a civil servant to engage in politics. Because engaging in politics is very broad. You can engage just by affiliation. You can engage and not say anything. But the political affairs of this country is determined or should be determined by the will of the people. Or whether you work for the government, yes or not, you should have an equal right into the debate of the affairs of this country. Because that is the survival of the people. Look at what's going on right now. People are being told what to do and what not to do when it comes to vaccine and other businesses, other aspect of their lives. And so it never brought any, loggerheads with me and the party. I just held my view. I thought of it. I looked at it, and I just decided, no, I'm not going to settle for that. There should be much more behind that. At the end of the day, I saw that, and I felt that the Constitution is the highest law of the land, which it is, and that gives you the right to affiliate and to join any groups or organization that you choose to. So I believe in the Constitution, and we should act accordingly.
Yeah, and I think that these are some of the things that should really be debated and put and thought about, because a lot of times we end up in situations where we were talking about it earlier. Sometimes it feels like you elect your dictators, and even though I might support you, I might not share all the views you have, but sometimes it's very difficult to feel like you have a place in the debate and the policy making decisions after election, right? But if we're able to discuss these types of topics, these types of issues, with the goal of just making the country better, and making the process better,
which it should be.
I think we could really see some movement to the better. But I'll be honest, there were some people who, upon you announcing your intentions to run for the election that was upcoming, they say, bye, nobody could win over there against Timo. How did you? Let me put it this way. I don't like to put on anybody what I think success should be. What would success have looked like for you in the last upcoming election? Do you think you were successful? Even though unfortunately you would not have received the numbers necessary for you to win, but is there any takeaway? What was your goal going into it?
Any moral victory?
Yeah, I mean, because I'll be honest, like I said, people were looking at it like by...
This is a difficult one.
That's a dead note. And because there's some places in St Kitts where there's been traditional support of either certain candidates or certain parties. And so, when people come in on the opposite side of whatever is long-standing and long-held, people go like, "Bye, they ain't really no chance there."
Especially new people, so.
Yeah, especially new people. So, but I don't want to say, well, because you weren't successful at the polls.
There was no success.
Yeah, there was no success at all.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about how you felt about that. And because, like I said, it might have come off to a lot of people like it was a suicide mission.
Right. And I think it was June 22nd, 2018, I had a event at Atlas Playing Field. It was like an announcement of my candidacy. And I said then, do not look at this as a race between Leon trying to defeat Timothy. Look at this as what I'm trying to bring to the table so that the people of constituency number 7 could benefit. My debates were to ensure that the person who is elected to Parliament to represent constituency 7 would be held accountable, but also to bring vision of development that can bring opportunities for every household in constituency 7 and beyond. But you have to focus there because that is your constituency. But let me just recap a little bit just to show you something. In 1998, I could remember having a meeting with Timothy Harris, then just Honorable Timothy Harris, at his office in Church Street. The purpose of my meeting, going to him, would be to discuss with him about the development of the area, which is in Molyneux. I encouraged him to get the lands that were available in Upper Borio and Lower Borio, where Fritz and Son is now, or where his brother lives going up into Borio, make those lands available to people because people are crying out for land. That was 98. By 2000, 2001, many of the lands were given out. That was me having a direct impact on that. The relationships, because that's something I can't hide, that me and the Harrises were very tight. The advice that I would have given and the consultation that we had, myself and his brother Len Harris, led to a number of things happening in and around the constituency. Strange enough, that $500 that is going around, what do you call it?
I don't want to call the wrong name. Like the
poverty alleviation, poverty alleviation program. That started out, and when it came out, I can remember on the 14th of, on Independence Day of 2000, I think it was 15 or 14. It was before 2014. When I saw the press release that Harris had put out, I saw the words that I had used to learn inside of that press release. So I said that again, even though it's not the way in which I would have put it, the understanding, the concept of the livable wage, that was my sentiments on the matter. I think I would have expressed that, when we had the last increase in minimum wage, we missed an opportunity where we could have increased the livable the wages so that people can live a little more comfortable. Right. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, that's one of my things there. And if you look at the agendas in which I push, going to develop the constituency and so on, look at what's happening in St. Peter's right now and in Cairn with the lack of water. I just screenshot a post that I made leading up to the elections, after doing the careful research and communication with the people in the constituency, understanding where we want to go with housing. If we are going to be building, as we projected, 2,000 houses per term, and you're going to build 50 houses in constituency number 7, if you add the climate change situation to that, it's better now that we secure by building more catchment of water, so that in time to come, we don't have the same situation at Kevon that has always had a problem, and St. Peter's. So the stuff that I put forward were to ensure that going down the road, people would have an opportunity to develop themselves in the constituency and outside. Not only that, but naturally canvassing to people and saying to people, this is where we want to go, that is what we want to do, trying to get their vote. I was able to get people to get stuff that they would have not get under normal circumstances from the government, because Leon Natta is now coming with a plan. Somebody asked him, I talked to Leon yesterday, but the man sound good, the man have plans. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, so there was a lot of benefit from me running. The benefit didn't come to me as I would have liked, but I believe the platform that I created, and overall, one of my biggest things that I wanted to achieve is to have young people, younger people becoming more confident to go into politics, because soon enough, that era of 93 and 95 politics and politicians would soon pass us by. So where is the next crop of leaders that's going to come from? So I believe that my hope was to, at the end of the day, encourage, inspire, motivate some young mind to have a chance to say, I could be that person. Just like, it would have impacted me, I could be that person. And so I believe I would have created that. I believe I would have brought more attraction to the St Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, and I believe that I had a bigger impact on that last election than a lot of people who would have engaged in politics for very first time.
Yeah, I think, like you said, sometimes, being on the platform and being in the race puts you in a position to influence what your competition is doing and has to do, and then what they would have to be held accountable for if successful. Just like what you would have to be accountable for if you were successful. So you also mentioned the intention to help spark a new generation of politicians and persons getting involved in politics. How do you believe that, and I'll say we, because although I claim to be 769, in this life I'm far younger than that.
Right.
So in this for us young people, how do you think we could help to move what the previous generation of politicians would have done and established? What do you think are some of the ways that we need to move politics forward in St Kitts and Nevis?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I'll say this, and I know you're going to ask me back a question on this. It's easier to fix a problem than it is to change a culture. All problems usually have a solution. The solution may not be immediate, but cultures take forever to change, and it's difficult to change cultures overnight. You can find a solution to a problem overnight, but cultures are very difficult to change. I think we had a setback in terms of motivating and inspiring people to become politicians, especially with my matter, the way that I was dealt with, the victimization with the firearm issue, which I'm still dealing with, the way that we treat young people coming into politics. It hasn't set the right perception to the younger folks. It's more victimization, it's more divisive. Yes, and so we have to recover from that. It takes strong-minded people to keep being in politics, like myself, like Kenny, like Canwis, Aquila. Keep being strong-minded, keep the will to continue being active and participate in politics. Senator Clark is now on the scene, and I'm sure there's going to be more senators, and we will have more people coming in and out of the Labour Party very shortly. But it takes that to form the perception that, no, this is not an exclusive thing, This is an inclusive thing, and people have the right to join the political parties, affiliate as they like, and the democratic process is as it should be. But it also takes, at the end of the day, some of the people who are at the helms now to move on. And once that happens, it creates more space. It creates. Look at what we did with the St Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, the Constitution. We created more space and opportunities in that to be attractive to people, because we don't want people to think that there's some Labour club that is at the helm. We're saying open up, have more deputies, have more spaces on the executive, so that you can inspire and encourage people to join the party. And I think we have set the trend that where parties need to go down the road. So the parties have a role to play, and the individuals, by their ethics, by their behavior, they need to conduct themselves in a way that is inspiring to people to be attractive to the politics. And we have to be careful, because if we continue where we're going, it's more tribal politics, where people are more in it for themselves and so on, and based on an agenda that they speak of this. Not the community democratic politics, where once the community survive, once the constituency survive, I will survive, so we have to be careful on that.
Right.
So, you just said something that I found interesting, which is we have to somehow encourage people to start stepping up. So if, for instance, your current leader of your party, if he decides to hand the mantle to you, do you think you would be ready to step up for it? Or is that something being discussed, him stepping down and having somebody younger step up to the plate?
Well, first off, I'll say that he had made it abundantly clear, and we are speaking about the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas. He had made it abundantly clear that last election, his position on going into any other elections. I think he mentioned on several occasions, I know he mentioned on several occasions that election would have been his last. I am one whose relationship with him has, we didn't have much before 2018, 2017, but I've come to understand him and a lot of him and how he operates. And if he says that is last, I believe I took his word for it that is his last. So yes, that has opened the opportunities for anyone in the Labour Party, not just myself. Dr. Joe, Honourable Jeffrey Hanley, Canwis Maynard, my colleague Kenny Douglas. So all of that has inspired and opened the opportunities for people like me or the others to take the mantle. And trust me, we are willing, we are ready, we are able, we are confident that the next Labour Party that presents itself to the people with the new leadership, we are going to be one to reckon with. So I am just patiently waiting for that time to come.
Yeah, I think that whether you are a Labour supporter or you support some other party, there has been a feeling that there needs to be some rotation, some mentorship. Not that some of these leaders they go off the scene and ride off into the sunset, but there is that succession that is obvious to the supporters of the party, because it then gives them some confidence in the future of the party, being able to see, hey, this is the succession, this is who we're grooming, this is where we're going, this is the plan, as opposed to sometimes it feels like the parties are just doing what they have to do to try and win the next election, right? And I think that, and I could speak for myself, I could speak for some of the people that I converse with, that type of politics where it feels like we're just going and trying to see what we could do to win this next election is getting very, it's a big turnoff. It's a big turnoff for a lot of young people who want to see what is the plan for this particular party going forward for the country. And sometimes it's hard to see that when you can't see the plan for the party itself, right? And so I think all the political parties really need to work on succession planning, making sure that is visible, making sure that the supporters of the party can see where the party is going, and so you could have confidence that my support of this party could then translate into long-term vision for the country.
Right,
That's what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but I just like that time kind of running us up, right? Easy so. But it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Again, really appreciate you coming in and taking the time out to speak to us. And sometimes, when persons like yourself get involved in politics, we sometimes see them just strictly through a political lens, and being able to talk to you about how you grew up, the stuff you're involved in, sports, education, your professional life. I think that goes a long way in humanizing people in your position. So really appreciate you coming and being so open with us about all of this kind of stuff. But guys, it's Thursday, all day today apparently.
Tomorrow is Friday.
And then Friday usually just come after Thursday.
Still, I don't really want to thank you guys for the invitation. I've been a listener of Island Tea for quite some time. Yeah. Actually, one of the biggest joke I had for the year is from Island Tea. Well, political joke. I remember the last one parliament session they had, and you guys was on before, and I think parliament had started 10 o'clock. So one of you guys joked and said, I don't understand it, but Labour lose the election, but Labour still take a majority in the House because Dougie still money one. So I was like,
I would have to be Kevon Hanley.
So I was like, wow, that's the youth coming out, being able to make fun of things. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come on Island Tea today, and I believe and I know for a fact that once the invitation is there to come again, we will address it better. We will actually have our tea. And it was a privilege for me to share the platform with you guys today. And I'm so proud of you, both of you. And Mr. Bailey, I've seen you in action in your musicianship. And the work that you did, I think it was last Carnival and so on.
Appreciate
if
it.
you don't speak to people, sometimes you don't get a chance to, if you're not in the same space.
Right.
So, I encourage you guys to continue to do what you're doing. And it was a pleasure for me to be here this morning. But again, I say to you and Ms. Johnson, that it's easier to fix a problem than it is to change a culture.
Right.
And so when you have people doing the same things over years and years, that's going to be hard to change. But a problem you can sit down, diagnose, and
come up with a
solution. But to change a culture, it takes consultation, it takes effort, it takes repetition, and it takes new people to change cultures. So I want to thank you again for having me this morning, and I look forward to the next Island Tea.
Yeah, man, definitely. And the next Island Team tomorrow. Yeah. It's going to be Friday, people. Watch it. I love when we got these 4-day weeks, This 4-day work week.
The last one for a while.
But no, I believe that what's going to happen is if Leon is successful at the polls, again, he can implement it. I think that's that we need to run on 4-day work week. And we could work out something there.
Yeah, we'll work out something.
But yes, as Azem said, time has run us down. It is time for us to go home finally. As I'm going home, I drink a bush tea now.
Bye. Bush. Actually, I enjoyed crackers this morning. I almost choke on the way here.
And I couldn't say this. I don't know.
You need the tea. You need the tea.
Yeah.
But you know what? You introduced the master of ceremonies there.
Yeah. They won the chapstick done, the Slim God, the man himself, the Duke of Frigate Bay, the man who terrorizes the airways.
Allegedly.
What is me? It is not me.
The one who says anything that even mildly disrupts the nation's happiness. Kevon Hanley.
Wow.
No, I do not accept. The only thing I will be blamed for is abusing the traffic department.
The tintifers? I don't know, the tint officers?
Come back already.
Tint patrol. Tint patrol.
But yeah, Kevon, what you got for the people?
Remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you tomorrow.